Hey everyone, it's time again to recap the latest news from the solar PV industry, compiled by the American Solar Energy Society. I'm Jay Warmke with SolarPVTraining.com, and this is what's happening in the wonderful world of solar for the week of April 13th. 4 Republican U.S. senators have added their names to 21 Republican congressional representatives in support of retaining the renewable energy benefits outlined in the Inflation Reduction Act, or the IRA. The latest letter from Senators Lisa Murkowski from Alaska, Tom Tillis from Florida, John Curtis from Utah, and Jerry Moran from Kansas express their support for continuing the renewable energy policy set forth in the IRA. House committees will soon begin the process of budget reconciliation in conjunction with Senate panels. Of the total investment made under the IRA, at least 57% went to districts currently represented by Republican House members, or about $171 billion. Republican districts also received nearly 3/4 of private investment underwritten by the IRA. By region, over 209,000 jobs were created at private energy projects subsidized and covered by about $163 billion of IRA funding, and at least 2/3 of the announced jobs were for projects in politically red districts. PJM Interconnection will work with Google to use artificial intelligence to potentially revamp and speed up the grid interconnection process. This was announced by the grid operator last Thursday. Tapestry, a part of Alphabet, which is the parent company of Google, will work with PJM in a multi-year effort to integrate dozens of databases and tools the grid operator currently uses for interconnection requests into a unified model for the PJM network. The unified model will allow developers and grid planners and operators to make interconnection decisions very quickly. Google pointed out that it took 2 years for MISO, that's the Mid-Continental Independent Systems Operator, to conduct a manual study for a large project requesting interconnection. Their AI model was able to reproduce this study in about 10 days and came to similar conclusions. The time it takes to interconnect a project to the grid can vary significantly, but generally it takes between 4 and 5 years. Based on the percentage of electricity on the grid that comes from renewable energy, 7 of the top states are politically red, according to a new study by the U.S. Energy Information Administration, or EIA. In 2023, solar and wind met 22% of blue states' demand for electricity and about 17% in red states. However, the rapid adoption of renewable energy in traditionally red states such as Texas and Ohio are rapidly closing this gap. Clean energy passed a major milestone last year. For the first time, wind and solar produced more electricity than coal in the U.S. Recent analysis shows that in 2024, wind and solar met 17% of total U.S. demand, while coal supplied only about 15%. Overall, U.S. renewable power has risen sharply since 2000, propelled by a mix of falling costs and supported public policies. And while the federal incentives have ebbed and flowed over that period, state-level investment has been much steadier. Market trends have accelerated that shift. Over the past decade, the cost of deploying wind and solar have fallen by 70 to 90%. Wind and solar now are significantly less expensive to deploy than coal, gas, or oil. A 2023 study by Duke Energy found that it spends twice as much powering an existing coal power plant as compared to the cost of building a brand new solar array. And as solar expands across agricultural land, dual use is emerging as a practice to optimize land use. A dual-use solar approach known as cattle voltaics integrates cattle grazing with solar panels that provide benefits to farmers as well as to energy developers. A fact sheet recently released by the Center for Rural Affairs explores the economic and environmental benefits of using cattle voltaics. It provides insights into the best practices for implementation. Shade provided by solar panels is one advantage in cattle voltaics. Reducing heat stress in cattle leads to improved efficiencies such as increased weight gain in beef cattle and increased milk production in dairy cows, according to the center. Beyond the direct benefits to the cattle, the fact sheet contends that grazing under solar panels actually enhances the soil health, it improves soil stability, and it provides better economic returns than grasses that are grown out in direct sunlight. You can read and download a copy of Cattle Voltaics, Maximizing Land Use with Solar Cattle Grazing. Visit cfra.org/publications. And that's the news from the solar industry for this week. We'll see you next week.